Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? I'm fine, and I hope that you are too. Good morning. All right, so we're going to get started this morning. We're going to continue getting ready for Thanksgiving and learning about why we celebrate Thanksgiving. Okay, so yesterday and the day before, we learned about Native Americans. They were the first people here in America, and they knew the land. They were good at growing foods, and they were really good at building shelter. Okay, well, so they lived in America for a very long time. Well, some people from England, they started feeling like they were being treated unfairly. Okay, and so they wanted to worship God. How many of you go to church? Okay, I go to church and I like to go to church every Sunday and a lot of times on Wednesdays. Right? So I love church and I love to worship God. And so the people that were from England, they wanted to worship God freely. They wanted to worship how they wanted to worship, and they didn't want to be told how to worship. And so they wanted to move somewhere where they could have religious freedom, where they could worship God how they wanted to. Okay, so they got tired of being told what to do all the time and how to worship God. And so they got together and they decided they were going to move. And they were going to move somewhere where they could start over and they could have a better life so that they could worship God freely. Okay, so they decided to go to America. So they got on a really big ship called the Mayflower. Can you say the Mayflower? Okay, so they got on a big ship called the Mayflower and they traveled across the ocean all the way to America. And when they got here, they really didn't know what to do because where they had lived in England, everything was done for them. Their homes were built, their food they probably bought at a market, okay, or they went hunting, things like that. So they didn't know exactly how to grow food or what foods to grow, and they didn't really know how to build good shelters to last it and get them through the storms in the winter. All right, so the people that came over here were called the Pilgrims. Can you say Pilgrims? So the people that came on the Mayflower that were trying to get away from all of the religious injustice that they were facing, they were called the Pilgrims, and they came to America to escape religious persecution and to be able to worship God freely. Okay, so our morning message this morning says Pilgrims came to America for a better life. All right, so we're going to get ready to write our morning message. What was our first word? Our first word was pilgrims. Okay, so right here I'm going to write the word pilgrims. So pilgrims came to America for a better life. I'm going to put my period at the end of our sentence. All right, so I'm going to point to the word, and as I point to the word, you read it with me. Pilgrims came to America for a better life. Okay, so here in America, the Native Americans were already here. They were living, they were raising families, they were growing food, building shelters. They were doing their normal routine, their normal life activities. And then all of a sudden, they see this ship coming in the water to their land where they live. And they probably got scared and they were probably feeling like they needed to protect their families because they didn't know who these people were. But the Pilgrims were coming in the Mayflower on the big ship. They were coming across the water and they were getting close to the land and they were getting ready to get off this ship to find a better life. But little did they know that America already had people in it, and that was the Native Americans. Okay, so the Pilgrims came to America for a better life. All right, so we're going to get ready to find our special letter of the week, and that is the letter I. Everybody get your fingers out. All right, and if I tell you how to write it, you write it with your finger. Okay, so fingers out. All right, for our uppercase I, pull down, go back up to the top, slide over, go down to the bottom, slide over. All right, so for uppercase I, pull down, slide over, slide over. All right, now let's write our lowercase I. Lowercase I, pull down, dotted at the top. Okay, so get your fingers, pull down, dotted at the top. Okay, so that's our uppercase I and our lowercase I. And what sound does I make? I says eh, eh, eh. Good. All right, so let's look at our first word, the word pilgrims. Can you find a lowercase I in our word pilgrims? Good. And you know what? I found two. Did you find two? Good. All right. So I'm going to underline them. We have a lowercase I here and a lowercase I here. All right. So we have two lowercase i's in our word pilgrim. Well, let's look in our word America. Look in the word America. Do you see another lowercase I? You sure do. Where is it at? Good. You found one right here. So I'm going to underline it. All right. Now let's move on to our last word, life. Can you find another I? Right here. All right, so real quick, let's count our lowercase i's and see how many we found. 1, 2, 3, 4. We found 4 lowercase i's. Okay, so I want you to hold up your fist like this, all fingers down, and we're going to count to 4 on our fingers. Are you ready? Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So this is 4 fingers. We counted to 4. All right. So now you know that Native Americans were the first people in America. But the Pilgrims were tired of religious persecution and they wanted a better life. And so the Pilgrims moved to America to find a better way of life. So tomorrow we're going to learn more about the Pilgrims and what happened when they got here. All right, but until then, I will see you later. I hope you enjoy all of our fun activities for today.